When disasters like Fort McMurray strike, it's natural for people to help, but sometimes not all donations are necessarily needed and can become a problem. For more on this, we're joined by Juanita Rilling in Washington. She's the director of the Center for International Disaster Information. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
How is it possible that a donation could be the wrong thing?
Well, most donations are really a great thing, but donations that are not needed are not cool because they pile up and at ports and airports and parking lots, and they need to be moved, and usually the people who move them are relief workers, and relief workers who are moving unneeded donations out of the way are not spending time with survivors. And this is a problem of scale. The more unneeded donations that appear, the more time that relief workers have to spend dealing with them and the less time they spend with survivors. It's a real problem.
Juanita, give us an example of some of the things that you've run into in terms of the wrong thing arriving.
If you mean just objects, well, really,
yeah.
anything that is not needed gets in the way, and the only way to know what's needed is to work with relief organizations on the ground who issue appeals for specific things. But aside from that, anything that is not specifically requested is in the way. And that includes things which seem intuitively like they would be needed, like used clothing and canned food and bottled water. They can actually become a problem.
What would you tell people out there? I mean, Canadians have really sort of opened up and tried to help out in any way they can, but what would you tell somebody who may have doubts about what to do?
Well, the best donation, usually not just in this emergency, but really for all disasters, are cash donations to relief and charitable organizations that are working directly with disaster-affected people. That is because disaster situations evolve very quickly as people migrate to safety and start receiving emergency services, and cash donations enable relief organizations to meet needs as they change. Also, cash donations enable relief organizations to purchase supplies locally, which supports the local economy and strengthens it for the long run. And there's really no material donation you can send that conveys all of these benefits. So cash donations are really the best.
There's been a huge focus in this country on the Red Cross. Money, people sending money to that organization. But what about other groups? I mean, there are always other groups in the immediate area that can also be helped as well.
Do you mean other relief organizations? Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Exactly, and I learned a bit about that on your website. You've got a good list through the articles of other relief organizations that are working on site. And if people have doubts or just haven't heard of those organizations, they can check some of the charity watchdogs like GiveWell.org, CharityNavigator.org, and the Wise Giving Alliance or the Better Business Bureau. These organizations they explore the programmatic and financial dealings of charities on sort of a granular level. And they rate the charities from 1 star to 5 so that donors can be sure of how their money is being spent.
Good idea to do. Juanita Rilling, Director of the Center for International Disaster Information, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.